Hello, everyone. It's 2017. It's Thursday. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, it's the Let's Talk About Robot Trading webinar. We were off last week unexpectedly, and I felt really, really bad about that. We took a holiday trip to Las Vegas, one of my favorite places in the world. And normally we leave very late. We try to stay that extra day, that last day we were there. We usually leave late in the evening. And we didn't. We left early in the morning, and Jill booked it, and I didn't know it. And then when we realized I would miss the precious Thursday webinar, I panicked, and we tried to change our flight, but it would have been several $100s. So I couldn't change it. And so we missed last week. So I apologize for that. That was unforeseen, but Thursday should work unless something crazy happens. I try to actually manipulate my personal schedule around this Thursday webinar. I try not to miss it. It's actually a priority. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, but audio and visuals are good. We're going to take this particular webinar and look back a little bit on 2016. Love looking back, love doing the analysis, love doing the year in review. I love that stuff. I think you should probably do it more than once a year. You should probably do it quite often. I try to do it more than that, but it gives us a natural excuse to talk about what happened. So we're going to do that. We're going to look at how the robots did back in 2016. So who had a good year? What performed well? Well, let's take a quick look. Whoa, wait, hold on. What is this? Is that a Clemson football logo? Where's my staff? Who put that in there? Why would Clemson football even matter to all the Ohio State people who've been taunting me for months at a time? I honestly, I don't know how that happened. So if you're an Ohio State football fan, please accept my apologies. Anyway, on to the annual review. All right. Before the first thing I want to talk about is what's on the inside of us. I have become more and more convinced with each passing day that what makes us a good trader is what's on the inside. Yes, the system matters. It absolutely does. But I'm thinking more and more that it's what's on the inside that's even more. If you had to break it down on a 100% scale, I'd say what's on the inside is 80 to 90%, and your actual trading system is 10 to 20%. Why do I say that? Well, in my coaching career, which ended in the last 12 months for all intents and purposes, I spent almost all of my time coaching the kid, coaching the athlete. I did very little of my time coaching the strokes that I had worked on for decades, strokes that I constantly studied and tried to refine and tried to teach the tools that would allow someone to go pro if he or she wanted to, no matter where they start from any age or any ability level. But even though I taught those strokes and they seemed to work, it had almost, well, not almost none, very little bearing on how good that person became as a player. It wasn't until we had, let's say we have an hour lesson on court, I might be spending 15 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes longer, and we weren't hitting balls. We were talking. Why are you afraid? What are you afraid of? What's going on off the court? Personal life, school life, parents, what's happening in the group? Why are you mad at me? Did you think I was mad at you? So, of course, dealing with teenagers, that sort of stuff matters. Once I got that settled in the athlete's head, then the rest came really easy. So anyway, I give you that anecdote because yesterday I wrote my Wednesday blog post, and we did have a Wednesday blog post last week, even though I was in Vegas. We haven't missed a Wednesday post since 2013, I don't think. But I wrote in the blog post yesterday about something that's really, really important to me personally, and love to have feedback if it has anything to do with you personally. But the biggest item to review, and we'll get to robots in a second, but the biggest item to review is my idea on risk. Now, I came from no money. It was hard to become a tennis player because our family didn't have enough money really to spend. Tennis is a very expensive sport. Kids, high-level kids spend, you can spend $1,000 a month or more, double that, or even more if you want, plus travel and plus all the other stuff, equipment, so forth. But I didn't come from much money, and I wonder if maybe that has somehow tainted my idea on risk. I mean, it's something I'm really looking at myself very, very deeply. And I don't know if you're like me. I admire people to an extent. Right, comes with a caveat. I admire people who can say, I believe in this, I'm going to do it. I love people like that. However, there's a fine line. As much as I admire people like that, I don't believe in being just risk free. Meaning, I'm going to do this. I don't care what happens. I'm going to go hang gliding on it. I don't think you should be careless, I guess is the easiest way to put it. But I'm very, very respectful and very, very appreciative and love being around people who say, nope, I believe in it. I'm going to do it, which is interesting because the majority of my life, I am like that. When I wanted to be a tennis pro, I was a good student. I was on my way to law school. I said, no, I'm going to be a tennis pro. Even though I had no money, I had no clients, I just said, no, I'm going to do it. And I never doubted it for a second. And it happened exactly as I foresaw in my brain as a 22 or 23-year-old. However, in trading, I find it's different. Is it the money factor? Is it because I didn't come from money? Is it because I don't want to lose what I have? I'm not sure what it is, and that's what I'm looking at. I have my ideas, of course, but I find I'm very, very risk averse when it comes to trading systems. I probably should be betting bigger. And, excuse me, I think I weight unlikely occurrences way too much. I think because I know the worst case scenario, I avoid everything because of it. So that's what I wrote about yesterday, and I wanted to spend just a couple minutes on it today. Are you like that, right? I see a max drawdown and I immediately run away. Again, is it what's inside of me? Is that prudent? Is that stupid? I want to know, and I want to investigate it. And yesterday, the example I gave you, and I'm by no means recommending you throw money around. Remember, I don't like careless. I hate careless, actually. I like you to be careful. But if you took a trading system and bet the heck out of it, like moved it all the way up, and I use my new fair value robots as an example. They don't use stop losses, at least in the version I was talking about yesterday. So you're going to win over 90% of the time. You're going to get profit within 24 hours. Almost all the time you'll get a profit within a calendar week. But obviously you're going to get drawdowns because nothing's perfect. But if you took that max drawdown, if you researched it and said, not only do I think that's not going to happen again, I think it's not going to happen for the next 12 months. Right? This max drawdown happened in the last 14 years. It happened once. What's the likelihood it's going to happen next year or tomorrow or whatever? So I said, what if you stopped being worried? And I say you, I mean me, basically. What if we stopped worrying about that max drawdown looming out there and said, I know this system works. I'm going to, for 1 year or less, maybe 6 months, I'm going to trade this and try to make a bunch of money. And as it turned out yesterday, if you read the post, you've got over a 70% chance to make a lot of money, even if you don't use stop losses. Because to lose money, that max drawdown would have to happen next. It would have to happen as soon as you start. And while that could happen, if you had a 75, let's just round it, let's say you had a 75% chance to make 30 or 40%. Why wouldn't you take that? Like that didn't, when I did all this research for those fair value robots, in the course, whatever that I released this week, that never even entered my mind. Is that weird? It never entered my mind to go for it in that manner. I was always trying to avoid the worst case scenario, the max drawdown. I got that number, and then I said, well, I need at least twice that or 3 times that or 10 times that to trade this safely. Well, that is a max drawdown by definition. That only happened once. That was the maximum. So if someone presented you a 70% chance to make 30%, would you take that? I feel like when I put it that way, of course I would. You can't get that in Vegas, right? I was in Vegas last week or whatever, over the holidays. You can't sit down at a roulette table and have a 70% chance of winning the next roll and making a bunch of money. It's crazy. So anyway, I thought that was fascinating. And normally I don't like to review Wednesday posts on Thursday webinars, but gosh darn it, that was important, right? And I'm not saying blow up your whole account and go for it, but I'm just saying it's time to maybe take a new look at risk and quit weighting so heavily stuff that may or may not happen. All right. Again, you don't have to do this ever. I just want to bring it to your attention. It's on my mind. All right. Let me check. I'm going to check real quick. Actually, I'm going to go back and do the questions later. couple comments there. Excellent. I'm going to just go ahead and do that later. But I'd love to have you, and you can email me too with these thoughts too. You can always do that. All right, let's talk about the robots. Enough with that. Let's talk about how the main robots that we've talked about in blog posts and webinars did. Let's start with the Hornet annual review. As you know, or may not know, I got a portfolio of 10 Hornet robots that I traded together for a good portion of the year, about half the year, on and off. Off meaning switching over to MT4. I had to turn off, but otherwise it was fine. Otherwise, I traded it. I got totally seduced by big portfolio managers, people who manage hundreds of millions, and they all said, be diversified, be diversified. And because I study fund managers and I read about them all the time, I thought, well, I've got a bunch of Hornet robots. Why not make as many as I can? So I made 20. Well, not quite 20. I'd say I have probably 16. I cut that down to 10, and then I said, okay, let's go. Right? 15 or 16. It's one of those two. But anyway, I cut it to 10, and then I just went. And I traded it, and I had the hardest time. Like from day one, I had the hardest time trading a diversified portfolio. It doesn't sit with me. And I've wrote posts about it. It's not the way I'm most successful. Focusing on one thing or a very, very, very small number of things is how I trade well. I've made 3 different times, I've made nice chunks of money. And all of them have been focus. And yet I decided to diversify. I don't get it, Again, I'd love to say I have all the answers for you, and I study this stuff pretty hard. But there's stuff, I guess, I still need to learn, and I'm always on the lookout for what more I can learn and then pass on to you. But I learned about myself that why would you aspire to be like someone else, some other fund manager, when I have situations. I made a lot of money in stocks right at the beginning. I made a lot of money trading a fair value type, no stop loss type system. And I made a lot of money, or at least a high return, on trading a robot with a stop loss. So why diversify, right? You've heard all that before. If you haven't, there you go. But about August, and then for me personally, September, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not trading a diversified portfolio. I have one thing that I like, and that's what I'm going to do, all right? So I didn't trade the diversified. That's a long-winded opening to how the big Hornet portfolio did. So let's get over to the spreadsheet. Here is a spreadsheet that I keep. Now, keep in mind, as always, that these are TradeStation numbers. They're not exactly MT4 numbers. I don't have all of these robots trading on MT4. However, as we've talked about many times, I tracked MT4 results versus these TradeStation results. And my MT4 results were better. You hear what I'm saying? When I compare trade to trade, and I took every live trade I took, like 95%. I think it's about every trade, but let's say 95% of the trades I took from March to December, I said, what did TradeStation think I made, and what did MT4 actually make? And MT4 won by the end of the year. When I added some TradeStation trades, so some trades on this spreadsheet were better than real life, but the majority were better in MT4 land. Do you see what I'm saying? So keep in mind, these are TradeStation, so these aren't exact. Your numbers will never, ever match these exactly. Hopefully they're better. But this is the easiest way for me to compile as much data as possible, and so that's why we do it this way. Is everybody clear on that, 2017? So if we took, here's a whole bunch. Here's me, Mr. Diversified Portfolio, and you can see, 1, 2, 2, 2, right? This is the portfolio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I lied. It's 11 different robots. I didn't particularly want to trade these 11, but I was supposed to, because that's what fund managers do. All right. So if you traded all 11, here's what the trade say. Again, this is trading costs built in. Yes. Slippage and all that is all built in. So this is trading costs taken out. Okay. All right. If you take, there's January 2016. So if I just add up that column for last year, and again, this is on a hypothetical $10,000 account or less. I don't know, it could be a $5,000 account, whatever, but let's say 10,000, hypothetical, made $1,800 or an average of $150 a month. If you look at the historical averages since 2007, remember 2007, 8, 9 were monster good years. So that's not really relevant. But since 2012, so 2016 would have been worse since the average since 2012, similar to 2013. Better, if you started trading this in 2014, 2016 was better than that average. And since 2015, it's about the same. So even though I bailed on it, and I think rightfully so, you can see that, look, it still did quite all right, especially in November, December. Okay. Now, again, MT4 live results may not match this exactly. This is just for educational purposes, right? But you can see that November, December did very well. But you can see how anyone would think, this doesn't work. Why am I trading these robots in this period? And this is exactly the period where I became disgruntled. But I became disgruntled for a much deeper and more important reason than just losing money, right? Of course, the beginning of 2016 was awesome. So if you traded the diversified, it was fine. It was profitable. Just stick to it, right? But notice how it got better when the least tested pairs were taken out. Okay, and this is something extremely important. When you are a day trader, you need data. Day trading trades a lot, so guess what? You need data on lots of trades. The more data, the better. The more testing as far back as possible, the better. The more, the better. And guess what? In my hurry, well, not really hurry, but in my quest to be diversified, I added 3 robots that don't have anywhere near as much data as the others. The reason why is I just wanted more. I didn't have a better reason for you. I'm so sorry. I like to have good reasons. I have a crappy reason. All I wanted was more. I didn't want better. I wanted more. Just telling you. These 3, this stops in 2007, and believe these 2 stop in 2008 on TradeStation. So I can't test them as much as the others. And I like to, I like to test on TradeStation because I found it to be very reliable in live forward testing. If I took those 3 out, if I just never did them in the first place, so if I take DEF out, you can see that now they're gone, right? And then let's fill that down. And then take a look at that. That was an average of $200 a month. So we went from $150 a month up to $200 a month and 2616 on a hypothetical $10,000 cut. Now we're in the 26% range, right? That's pretty awesome. Okay. So what I've learned as you trade these live, and you learn every day when you trade something live as opposed to testing, learn that the ones that held up the best are the ones with the most data. And that kind of makes sense, right? The only one that doesn't really hold up is the euro dollar. And guess what? On my day trading systems, the euro dollar is the worst of every currency pair I've ever tested ever. And not just on this system, every day trading system. Longer term trend following, euro dollar is awesome. I have not found a day trading system where I like the euro dollar with stops. I mean, it's not even close. So why add it? You know why? Because I had to be diversified. But take a look at the ones with the data, right? Again, compare apples to apples. Dollar yen last year, incredible. If you had traded only that and traded it with max trade size, you could have made 100%. I mean, it all depends. It's all relative, but it's big, right? Aussie yen, we can talk about that. It was profitable for the year as much as I ridicule it. Euro yen, it's not my favorite for another reason, but dollar Swiss Friday only did great. Pound dollar, it was okay, profitable, not great. Euro Aussie, awesome. The Euro Aussie with time exit, just about the same. Remember, I changed from yes time exit to no time exit. I changed toward the end of the year. I think we talked about that in the webinar, but guess what? It didn't really matter. They're about the same. So you can pick either one you want. Look at the 3 without data, without the maximum amount of data. All losers. I fully expect them to bounce back and do okay in this year, but isn't that interesting that the ones with the least amount of data, all of them were just a little bit down, and then of course the pound yen did great. So, lesson learned from 2016, if you want to be a day trader, get the most data possible. Got it? The most tested ones have held up the best, with the only exception being euro dollar because it's a heaping pile of dog garbage. Okay, I just don't like the euro dollar. I don't know why I added it. I'm mad that I ever added it. But what happened if you traded the big four? Well, how do you pick the big four? And why do you use this voice? Well, I'll tell you. The big four are the longest data period and the most actual trades, meaning that they had, let's say one has 1,000 trades and one has 100 trades. Even though you test over a long data period, more trades is better. So you combine those. I want to have as much data as possible, and I want to actually have produced a lot of trades. So long data period and the most trades and the most consistent looking annual returns. Meaning after you're done testing, you don't want to see 10,000 one year and negative 5,000 the next. You want to see 5,000 one year, 4,000 the next, 3,000 the next, 6,000 the next. See what I mean by consistent? I don't like to see a lot of variance. So when you have big data, a long data, and you have a lot of trades that have been created, I then look for, the final one I look for is most consistent looking. And this is just done by feel. There's no special way to do it. I have my own way of doing it. So I just, I tweak, I go a little bit each way, and I figure out what's most consistent. Remember, I don't look for most profitable. I look for most consistent. When you combine long data, lot of trades, and consistent looking returns, you get the wrong spreadsheet. You get the Euro Aussie trades, consistent, and a lot of data, pound yen, the dollar Swiss, and the dollar yen. So if you only pick those four, look at that spreadsheet work. That spreadsheet work is amazing. And you scroll it down, you would have had 0 losing months. Oh my goodness, right? Now you would have made a little less money overall, but of course, if we're only trading 4, trade size would at least double. So you could double that, and that'd be about $4,800 on a hypothetical $10,000 account and so forth. Again, trade size is totally up to you. So you see my point. If you pick something that looks consistent in your testing, you have a lot of data, creates a lot of trades, you get good results. So all in all, the Hornet did okay. Even the big diversified would have made money. So there's no need to panic, but lessons learned, you need data and you want to make it consistent. All right, quickly moving on to trend following. Let's look at the breakout robots. We've talked about that quite a bit. If we traded the big 240-minute, all right, I did quickly. Trend following robots, I have 240-minute robots, which I tested a while ago, and daily robots, which I tested a little bit after. I did them all at the same time, but the daily robots were a little bit after. And this was a couple years ago, I think, when I first started messing around with this. So let's look at first the 240-minute robots. And let me get rid of that one, so I don't care. Goodbye. I miss you. Here are the 240-minute robots. You can see that on the spreadsheet. 240, 240, 240, 240, 240. These two are my two favorites, and they're here on the end. All right. So if you look at just the 240-minute trend following robots, and these are all of the ones that I initially talked about, okay, you would have been slightly profitable in 2016 if you traded all of them. But as I said here, it was profitable, but it was trend followy. What do I mean? This is trend following in a nutshell. Look at all those losing months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losing months in a row. Guess what? That's trend following. That happens all the time to everyone on earth who trend follows. And look what happens. No trends, trend. No trends. Oh, look, trend. Big trend at the beginning of the year, big trend at the end, garbage in the middle. That all adds up to profitable year, but not that profitable. Okay? However, what did we learn? If you want to trend follow, you have to trade instruments that actually trend. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. But again, all I wanted when I built this, I wanted to diversify. That's it. Well, don't trade something that doesn't trend follow. If it doesn't break out into trends very much, then it's stupid to trade that. Excuse me. Well, how do you know? Well, look at the totals for these 240-minute robots. Euro dollar made a lot. Remember, I told you euro dollar trends. Euro Aussie short made a good chunk. Dollar yen, great chunk. Pound yen doesn't trade much, but does trend when it does. Pound dollar, good chunk. Aussie yen, it doesn't trend when you do long and short, right? We know it goes through savage increases and decreases, but it's choppy. It doesn't work for a breakout trend following system. And neither does pound Swiss. These two don't break out. They don't go anywhere. So why am I trading them in a trend following system? That's moronic and idiotic. And I hate myself, but not really. So if you just use common sense and didn't trade those, all of a sudden you were nicely profitable, okay? And if you wanted to throw out the pound yen because when you see these blanks, that means it didn't even trade that month. I would keep trading it because of the fact that when it trades, right? Look at November 2016. Again, these are all TradeStation charts. But if you just got rid of those, look at that, okay? So in other words, lesson learned. If you want to trend follow, pick stuff that actually trends. Annoying. However, I like these two. I've fallen in love with these two charts. The euro dollar breakout, it's the same robot, but on a daily chart and on a daily chart. Obviously different settings. If you just traded those two, here's what you did. 38% return on a hypothetical, right? $3,800, see at the bottom of my screen. $3,800 on a hypothetical $10,000 account. And this is with the risk ratcheted up to 8% per trade, right? That's a lot, and it's just for demonstration purposes. However, it would have been trend followy. You would have had this, but look at November, right? Look at this dollar yen trade. Can you see that? It's about 1,000 pips. Look at that. Look what happened there, right? Amazing. So if you use that elevated trade size, again, it's 38. So to compare apples to apples, it's not fair. The 240s are all 1% risk. These are 8%. That's not fair. So I just multiplied it by 5 and assumed I did 5% risk. And if I did that, then it did very similar. So the question then remains, you'd have to check your margin requirements and see if you could trade 5% a trade on these. If you got into a trade in all of them, guess what? You couldn't. But assuming they all don't enter at the same time and you traded a trending portfolio, something that actually trends, and traded those 5 and then went 5% per trade, you could have had a really nice year. Again, crappy in the middle, and November would have paid it all off for you. So trend following, if you traded at all, you would have made money. If you traded just the dailies, you would have done great. If you traded only the things that actually trend, you would have done great. So trend following did very, 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 very nicely. Again, and I said it, the tricky part of trading 5 240-minute charts is if they all got into a trade, one of the trades probably wouldn't take, right? And then we'd have to adjust how much drawdown we're willing to take and all of that. Again, this is just demonstrating what's possible. You know, your situation is individual and unique, right? So both of those did very well. It did phenomenally well if we used common sense and applied what we've learned. And again, you don't want to look back. You want to be able to take this stuff and trade it going forward. But I feel like these are important lessons that make sense and that we can immediately apply these. Don't trend follow with something that doesn't trend. And if you're going to day trade, get more day trading data. These are things that are important to learn and use going forward. The fair value robots, which I've just released, returns are all over the place, right? These don't use stop losses. They're designed to win all the time. They're designed for consistent income into your account. So you'd have to adjust your risk tolerance and see, again, remember what we talked about at the beginning? How much potential max drawdown would you be able to risk? How much do you weight unlikely occurrences? So that could be anywhere from, 5% to 30, 40%. I mean, it could be depending on how much you are willing to risk, potentially, those returns will be all over the charts. But remember how they're designed. They're designed for consistent income and to keep you in the game and to keep me in the game too. So again, and of course, we just started talking about these midway through the year and started really talking about these end of the year. So we'll be able to look at this in the coming months ahead. All right, now let's take a time before we do the latest updates. I'll look at any questions. I'll scroll back. And let's see what anyone had to say. And oh geez, a lot of stuff on Vegas. All right, let's see what's happened. All right, here we go. Andy says, unacceptable. I'm sorry, Andy. I apologize to you. I think it's unacceptable too. Jay says, out of curiosity, what kind of cool stuff do you do in Vegas? Oh my gosh. Jay left. He had somewhere to be. But my Vegas is I'm the most boring Vegas person. I don't gamble and I don't drink and I don't frequent those types of establishments ever. I use some of the best dining in the world. I love going to the best restaurants I can find. I love doing shows, but I also love the spa. I love to relax. So I do very simple stuff in Vegas. Not that anyone cares. Vegas ain't got nothing on fair value robots. Thanks, Ron. You might be right. Douglas is very angry with me for, hey, Douglas, it was my staff. It wasn't me. Gary, yes, it was my staff. I would never rub anything in, guys. Come on. Why would I ever do that? All right. Self-confidence is everything. When trades go against you, you don't believe in yourself, you will click out for a loss only to see your trade go to profit. Ron, you're exactly right. Curious with your risk aversion if you gamble in Vegas. I don't gamble, so there you go. I think that makes sense. Ron says we create our own reality, right? And if it's a fearful one, then it's fearful. Is a law background required to be a good trader? I know. Me and Rob both. Isn't that weird? And he quit law school, and I decided not to go. So I guess that's required. Mark says he's like that too. It's definitely the mindset. Excellent. You know, Mark, thank you. I'm glad I'm not alone in being stupidly afraid of losing money. It's reticence to go big because if you margin call, it's over in the account. And yeah, I think definitely. I mean, but often enough. So yeah, I think he says that is my reticence, and that was Paul. Of course. I mean, it's tough to that 75%, in the 70% range to make 30%. Yeah, the downside is if it goes against you, you lose it all. I mean, that's tough, right? But we need to get over that maybe. Maybe it's not for you, but it's something I'm seriously analyzing. Maybe, we could do it so, we have a risk percentage, but we don't lose it all. Maybe we could find a happy medium, but that's an excellent point. Mark says, the way to get rich is put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket. That has been true in my life. I'll just say that. Risk or do not risk. There is no try. Thank you, Mr. Miyagi, or Ron. Makes it even clearer. All right, those are all the questions. Thank you, guys. Here are the latest updates. The fair value course is done. I've been sending out announcements. I'll stop doing that soon. I'm going to leave that course up, though, for a while. So if you're just seeing this video, you'll see the links below. I am trading that. I'm trading one of those for sure and more of those. I've already started trading it. I'm not going to, I don't know. I'm not even going to comment yet. I'm probably going to open a new account and trade all 5. But in my current portfolio, I'm trading the fair value robots with my other robots. So I can't trade the dollar yen. Obviously, I'm trading the dollar yen Hornet robot, so I can't trade the dollar yen fair value. See what I'm saying? So I will be adding more, but I'm already trading the Aussie yen fair value robot, and we'll be adding more. So I'm already in on that live. I'm working on a trend following variation. I'm so excited about trend following. I've really fallen in love with trend following, so I've got a new robot being built as we speak. And then I've also got a robot we haven't seen before that's coming soon. I'll be finalizing my 2017 trading within the next week. I'm pretty much done. But I want to get new accounts set up and all that stuff. I might add new accounts. I might add robots. You can obviously email me, but I'll let you know exactly what I do. And again, if you want to follow this, get all the recordings, get to YouTube. We're up over 540, and that's fantastic. Here's contact information. If you're watching on the recording, there's my email, which is the only place to reach me. I may start a website with just basic information. Thinking about doing that. I like everything to go through me. I like the one-on-one contact. I don't know. I might. It's still up in the air. And there's the high percentage system that came out this week. There'll be a link, but you can copy and paste that. All right, everybody, that's it. A few minutes over. Sorry, I try to get it done by 2:30 each time, but really excited. I'm really excited by everything that's going on. I'm really excited about the personal changes in my life. It has nothing to do with you, but I'm just in a good frame of mind. So we'll have lots more to talk about in the coming weeks. Wednesday, blog post, Thursday, webinar, and we'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye for now.